have been waiting for a while to test out this pit. Honestly, my number one question is, can I save some money and just get the Smoque, or do I need to upgrade to the Searwood because it lacks some features? Because in some regions, the Searwood is $200 all the way up to $500 more. To get right to the point, this isn't a full-featured pellet grill like the Searwood. In the future, I'm sure we're gonna end up doing a more of a comparison between the two pits. So for now, we're just gonna mainly focus on the Smoque itself. First, let's just get to the basics, and that is the unboxing and the assembly. Weber has always done a really good job at getting all the pieces and parts in the box and well protected. When it came to the actual assembly, that's simple. We did have that same problem with some of these bolts going into the bottom cart itself. And if you've been following me for a while, you know that my boys have put a lot of grills together. And always, they make sure that they leave the bolts and screws a little loose until it's ready to be tightened and snugged up. And like on the Searwood, we had one bolt that couldn't actually grab the threads. No matter how loose they had this thing put together, it just wouldn't grab tight. So that's two different models with the same basic cart design, but on the Smoque it was one bolt on the right hand side of the pit, and the Searwood it was the left. I'm not sure why that happened, but it did, so just really pay attention when you're putting in your bolts. It still only took the boys a little over an hour to put the Smoque together, but there isn't a lot of parts in this assembly. Right after that, I jumped into the burn off, and on every single grill you have to do what I call a burn off. And if you've been following me long enough, you can probably say it right to yourself while I'm saying it. That's just basically burning off any of the oil or the debris from the manufacturing process. I know you just said it. And the burn off procedure on the Smoque, it's really simple. Just fill up the hopper, crank the controller up to 450 degrees, and once it's hit that temperature, run it for 30 minutes. And that'll give you enough time to set up the Weber Connect. Simply just scan the QR code right inside your little manual, download the app, and set up your account. Didn't have to even turn in the Wi-Fi on the controller or anything, it just found it. And the Weber Connect app, compared to the older versions, it's much nicer. I like it. It's simple to read and it's simple to operate. And the best feature, in my opinion, on the app itself is that I like the little temperature graph. And that's what's really helpful when you have a pit that can run off an app, is that you have a visual right on your phone. You don't have to keep monitoring your grill. You just open it up and say, yeah, I'm running at 250 degrees and my brisket's at, $1.20. Got a ways to go. The thing that I always learn the most from the burn-off procedure is, how much does this grill smoke? And I'd say that the Smoque produces an average amount of smoke. And I always rate that by how many exhaust fans I have to turn on in my studio while that pit is running. I've got 3 of them, and for the Smoque, I only had to turn on 2. So I call that average. And that test is pretty scientific. I mean, I didn't have any bloodshot eyes, and I could breathe. Science. For my second scientific test, or what I like to call Octum's Ricer, oh wait, maybe that's theories or something, I can't remember. I took 3 ambient probe temps, put 1 all the way to the left, 1 in the center, and 1 pretty much right over the fire pot on the right. I set the temperature on the Smoque to 275 degrees because that is my preferred barbecue cooking temp. The first thing that I noticed is that the Smoque got up to 275 degrees right around 10 minutes, and that's pretty quick. Now the readings that I had was about 40 degrees off, but after I let it preheat for another 10 minutes, they were pretty much spot on. So obviously Weber's Smoque vent design works. I mean, the fire pot's all the way on the right hand side, and it's the same temperature as all the way on the left hand side. And this is a 36-inch pit, and the fire pot's right here. To be even on the left hand side is pretty impressive. So good job, Weber. I think you nailed it. And for the last Octum Ricer test, I want to see how fast the Smoque can get up to its max temp. To get to the max temperature of 500 degrees on the Smoque, it took right around 14 minutes. But after about 30 seconds, I noticed on the controller that the temperature started to drop. And if I recall correctly, it dropped down about 80 degrees and took another 5 minutes to stabilize. which is pretty dang good when you figure that the smoke preheated and stabilized at 500 degrees under 20 minutes. And I know that it was stabilized because I ran it for another 10 minutes and it just held right at 500 degrees because I tested out how it would do for searing. And this is truly where you're gonna see the biggest difference between the Smoque and the Searwood, is that the Smoque, it really can't do that great of a job at putting on a sear. Now, it wasn't bad. I had a little bit of cross hatching, but it still doesn't compare to what I've gotten off the Searwood. I will add a little bit more about cooking those steaks when I actually talk about cooking on the Smoque. First, let's talk a little bit about the creature comforts on the Smoque. You have a nice sturdy pull handle, and this pit, I think it weighs 110 pounds, so it's not very heavy and it does roll around okay, even if we only have 2 wagon wheels and 2 peg legs. On the very left side, we have our ash and grease cleanout. Weber sells these little aluminum liner pans, so you can either just keep recycling by cleaning out the pan, or you can pick these up everywhere. We have a total of 918 square inches of cooking space in the Smoque. Primary cooking area, we have 595 square inches, and on the warming rack, you have 323 square inches. We have a 22-pound hopper, which is enough for an overnight cook because I tried it. It has a pellet dump. They send you this little scraper, and I actually use it to help shoo some of the pellets out over on the bottom of the hopper. You have a pretty basic controller on it. It's not really hard to follow. You know, you just turn it on and set your temperature. You have 180 all the way up to 500 degrees. We have 2 probe ports, and Weber sends you 2 probes. Good job. I don't have to complain about it. You have 3 little small tool hooks on here. Works pretty good. I don't really use many utensils on grills. I use cotton liners and nitrile gloves. I don't like doing the I can't get the hot dog, Melmer. The big difference that I noticed is the cooking components inside the Smoque. Not that they have more or less, it's just the design is a little different. And I can say from all the testing and cooking that the new design of the smoke vent, it works. Like a lot of the pellet grill manufacturers out there, you can get extra accessories for your Smoque. You can get a side and a front folding shelf, which I would say that you might want at least this side shelf added because there's not a lot of room on the hopper for a cutting board. And you can also get like a rotisserie for your Smoque. Take out our top warming rack. My spit, it's actually for the Searwood or the Spirit, but you can see if you wanted to put in a rotisserie, you could. The only thing that I can see that might be an issue on the Smoque compared to the Searwood is that this lid, even if it pretty much looks exactly the same, it is a little shorter. I'm not sure, maybe 2 or 3 inches. So you might not be able to get a huge turkey on there, but you'll be able to get a couple chickens. The first cook that I did on the Smoque is I did an overnight brisket. I just ran the pit at 210 degrees, and then after I got up in the morning, I threw in 3 racks of St. Louis cut ribs. And you can see that brisket is starting to develop a little bit of bark. And after that cook was all done, the brisket was juicy and had a decent smoke ring. Now, as far as the St. Louis ribs go, I actually cooked them for some friends of mine, and they didn't want me to slice them up. I had to deliver them in the foil. So I don't have any footage of me actually cutting them up, but you know I know how to cook ribs. The second test, I cooked up some beef back ribs. There's not a lot of meat on beef back ribs, but they are so good because that's right where the prime rib is. And once you bring that up nice and tender, it's so dang good. My third cook, well, we actually kind of talked about it. It was those ribeye steaks. They cooked in the normal 10 minutes, which is 5 minutes each side with a turn every 2.5 minutes. I mean, if you don't turn them, you're not gonna get any crosshatching. So that's why you turn them. Now, obviously you can see we don't have much for grill marks, but they did turn out to a really nice medium rare. The last fun little test cook that I did is everybody was begging for some smoked macaroni and cheese. That's pretty simple. I just run it at 350 degrees, melt all the cheese, and then put in the done noodles. And yeah, I know, I didn't use any utensils to stir up the macaroni and cheese. I just used my paw. I don't know. Easier, less dishes. If any of you guys are interested in a pretty good smoked macaroni and cheese recipe, leave a comment below. Sharing is caring. Overall, all the barbecue that I did on the Smoque turned out fantastic. It was really, really good. Now they say that the smoke vent does contain the smoke inside the chamber. I just didn't have as much smoke bellowing out of the back like I do on the Searwood. But I don't want people to think that there wasn't any smoke flavor, because there was. It's just not maybe quite as much. When it comes to the cleanup on the Weber Smoque, it's pretty much like all the other pellet grills in the market. It does have a removable ash and grease tray, but in all reality, hardly any of that ash is actually gonna make it into that pan. So no matter what anybody says, after 3 or 4 cooks, you're still going to have to vacuum out the inside of the chamber. But it is really nice that the grease pan is underneath the bottom of the pit. You don't have to worry about little kids knocking it off or even varmints getting inside it. Now I know some of you are wondering, Ricer, what is your honest opinion? Well, I think it's a really good, affordable smoker. And the build quality, especially in the chamber, is pretty solid. So if you already have like a gas grill or like a Weber kettle and you can achieve any type of grilling sear, well then the Smoque is probably a great option for you. And back to the actual cooking temps inside the chamber, I mean, come on, we're pretty much spot on across this whole grill. The one thing about the controller that I'm not too thrilled with is that the smoke boost is when you actually have it set at 180 degrees. That's pretty much 2015 technology, because the actual smoke setting was always at the lowest setting. It's not an actual like algorithm change in the pellet grill itself. For some of you looking for other comparable pits, to me, it's very similar to the Traeger Woodridge. They both have pretty much the same features. There's just a little bit of design differences in each grill. The one big thing that I like about Weber is their enamel coated lids. I just use a little bit of orange Zep and it polishes it right back up. This is the extra large model. They do have a smaller version of the Smoque too, and that might work good if you're on a tighter budget or if you have a smaller family, because this grill has enough room to be able to feed a decent amount of people. My biggest complaint about Weber, and it's pretty much on every single one of their grills, is their wagon wheels are so flimsy. And when they have the cheap plastic wheels, I'm always so afraid that they're gonna break. If you're looking for more information on the Weber Smoque, check the description below. Subscribe to the channel, because like I say, we are going to do a comparison which will put a little bit more apples to apples against each other and talk about the feature difference between the Searwood and the Weber Smoque. But if you're in a hurry and you don't want to wait for the comparison and you want to learn more about the Searwood, we're going to put a card at the end of this video and just click on it. You can say hi to me again. I want to see you again. Hope you want to see me again. But I appreciate you watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.